Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. This is the house of truth and righteousness. Let us begin with Psalms number 146. Praise ye the Lord. Praise the Lord, O my soul. While I live, I will praise the Lord. I will sing praises unto my God while I have any being. Put not your trust in princes, nor in the Son of Man, in whom there is no help. His breath goeth forth. He returneth to his earth, and that very day his thoughts perish. Happy is he that hath the God of Jacob for his help, whose hope is in the Lord his God, which made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that therein is, which keepeth truth forever, which executeth judgment for the oppressed, which giveth food to the hungry. The Lord looseth the prisoners. The Lord openeth the eyes of the blind. The Lord raiseth them that are bowed down. The Lord loveth the righteous. The Lord preserveth strangers. He relieveth the fatherless and the widow. But the way of the wicked he turneth upside down. The Lord shall reign forever, even thy God, O Zion, unto all generations. Praise ye the Lord. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for taking the time to come and visit with us, whether in person or whether you're online. It's good to have you. Today we are going to engage into a very special subject, a subject that deals with us collectively. And then, of course, the topic, as you've seen on the screen, is man, know thyself. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, why man? Well, let me explain that briefly. Because this is an old subject that goes all the way back, or should I say an old label that goes all the way back to ancient Egypt. That title, Man, Know Thyself. And it used to be over the top of the temple, the entrance at the temple. And back in those days, it was only men that were allowed into the temple. It's a lot like the Freemasons today. They don't allow the ladies to come in. Only the men come in. And the Egyptians passed it on to the Canaanites, who passed it on to the Greeks. And they did the same thing. They put it on to over the doorway of their temple, the entrance, and it's being handed down. But here in the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, male and female, we come together as one to serve the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. So if we say man, know that we're talking about you, man, meaning the male and the female. We come together as one. And this is why we would say, know thyself. Or we could say, ladies and gentlemen, know thyself. Either way, that's what it's all about. But what do we mean when we make that statement? Because these are such crucial times, and these are the times when the whole world is in a state of confusion, when they don't know whether they're going forward or backwards and what to do. You think that they're smart, but you know, I'll tell you what. A long time ago, when I was just a boy of 7 years old, my elder told me that the leaders of this world, they're not what you think they are. At the best, they're just supervisors or managers. And at first, I didn't quite understand it. But today, I recognize how stupid they really are. And I say that with all due respect. But they don't have a clue. They know how to make money by stealing it or by charging the poor people even more. And this is factual. Again, you could check this out on your own time. But as far as understanding the precepts of the Creator, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, and his children, our Israelite nation, they have no idea. However, here's one thing that's very important. They know who we are. I've said it a long time. They knew before our elder Shadrach who the children of Israel really are. They knew that the children of slavery were indeed the children of Israel. And they have taken every effort to make sure that they overcome those people. They don't allow those people to rise up. It is not their doing. It is who is controlling them. And this is important to understand because a lot of people might look at the situation and think it's a black versus white situation. Nah, it's not about that. It's about the truth versus the lie, or about the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob versus his adversary, who is Satan. And if you understand that, you are ahead of the game by years, at least 150. So let's get into it today. Before we get into the message, I would like to address the situation of who is an Israelite. It's all part and parcel of the learning process of knowing whom we are and whose we are. An Israelite is clearly defined by the same conditions that existed back in the day of our forefathers, our forefather Moses, for example, when he led them out of the land of Egypt. Of course, that was over 3,500 years ago, but we are still under the same authority as it was then. And if you remembered what occurred at the Red Sea, then you will see how privileged we are, how honored we are, how the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob parted the Red Sea at a time when our backs were against the wall and led us out of Egypt freely. And we were able to defeat Pharaoh. Keep in mind that ancient Egypt was the most powerful nation on the face of the earth at the time. The most powerful. And can you imagine? We defeated that nation, and we did not even have to fire one bow and arrow. Not one weapon was shot at the Egyptian, yet we defeated them. The same water that saluted our forefathers and let us pass through the Red Sea grabbed Pharaoh by the neck and choked the hell out of, well, maybe it didn't choke the hell out of him. It kept the hell in him. Okay? Let me get my facts straight there. But at least it paved the way for our exit from Egypt. And remember that Egypt is in Africa. A lot of people don't understand that. So we didn't come out looking like the people that call themselves Jew today. But we'll get to that a little bit later. But there are a few points that I want to make about who we are as Israelites. Each Israelite is the chosen servant of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. It's important to know our role, and it's important to know whom we serve, and especially the name. And this is very important because everybody cannot say that name. It takes a special privilege, a special spiritual strength, I should say that name. And not only that, to follow the instructions thereof. Number two, each Israelite worships the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob in spirit and in truth. And we do so according to the terms of the agreement, the terms of the covenant that we made with him. And the third point, and again, I want you to see how we are distinguished from all the other people on the face of this earth. Each Israelite is still governed by the same pillar of truth that was located at the border of the old Egypt. The same pillar. Now you might ask yourself, well, how is that possible? Well, today that pillar is located right here at Toronto, Canada. We are the pillar of truth. And how is it that our elder Shadrach was able to restore this Israelite family, this Israelite royal family, using the same precepts as Moses used? And not only that, he restored this Israelite nation at the border of the new Egypt, just like our forefathers restored the Israelite nation at the border of the old Egypt. And you would think, how is that possible? Well, right there is the key. We're serving the same God. We're following the same precepts. So we're going to have the same result. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's follow as given. Being obedient. That's the other word that we need to understand. So the pillar is firmly established at the border here in Toronto, Canada, at the border of the new Egypt, which is the United States of America. And if you don't know that they are the new Egypt, well, you need to look at their dollar. I don't have one, so I can't show you. There's some people in here that are very wealthy. Maybe you could show them a dollar. You will see the pyramid on there. You will see the obelisk, all the what should I say? The symbols of divination. That's what they are. And they're significant because that is how this Egypt gained its power and its wealth. But wait, there's more. How is it that they used the same emblems to enslave our foreparents that they use today to enslave us for 400 years? Now, do you see it works both ways? I hope you're getting this. You see our elders serving the same God, using the same precepts, getting the same results. And you see the old Egyptians serving the same God, using the same precept, getting the same result. They're the top of all the nations on the face of this earth today. How did they get there? Because our foreparents worked and made them rich and powerful. Slaves. And in the old Egypt, the same thing. Who made Egypt rich and powerful at a time when they almost fell apart? Was it not Joseph, an Israelite? Check it out for yourself, just in case you have any doubts. And of course, with Joseph, there was Moses who was there as well to assist him in that endeavor. So there's a whole lot that is similar. The point I'm making is if you do what is required according to the standards that have been established in your lane, you will get the same results. Remember, the key is in your lane. If you change lanes, you're going to get a different result. You'll get the one that is for the other guy who is driving in the lane that you changed into. But if you stay in the lane that has been prescribed for you, you will get the results at the appropriate time that are due to you. And that's all that you need to understand at that moment. We need to see that we are following in the same footsteps of our forefathers as far as obedience to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob is concerned. If we fail to obey, in other words, if we disobey, guess what? And I know you know what I'm going to say. You get the same punishment that our forefathers had back in the day. It is important to understand this up front, because to do what is required, you get the results that are necessary. If you follow contrary, then your punishment will be a reflection thereof. This is just that simple. It's not rocket science, okay? As simple as that. So we, as Israelites, we are proud to stay in our lanes. We have a culture that is ancient. It goes way back, over 4,000 years, to Abraham. We'll get into that a little bit later. And we are honored, really, to serve the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, who created the heavens and the earth. Because keep in mind that he could have chosen any nation, but he chose us. I think he knows something that we don't know about ourselves. So we need to show him, through our obedience, that his decision to put us in this capacity, in this honorable position, would not be in vain. Let us look then at our personal behavior. Remember, we're looking at an opportunity to know who we are. But let us see if there is a way that we could take advantage or a way that we could prevent the negative side of it. There's 2 points that I've made for some time, and I'll continue to make. The first point is this: no stranger is allowed to teach us about ourselves. That affects your personal behavior. So no stranger is allowed to teach you about yourself. That's the first rule. The second rule is no stranger is allowed to dictate your behavior. Now, basically, they're the same, but just worded differently, just to make it clear so that there's no misunderstanding. No stranger is allowed to teach you about yourself. No stranger is allowed to dictate your behavior. So if you find yourself in a compromising situation, remember who you are and try to find a way around it. It is as simple as that. But that's a personal issue. So let us look. I've made a list of 4 points that I want to share with you that are very important that affect personal behavior. The first one is humility, something that we don't see a lot of today. Humility is at least from an Israelite perspective, the confidence to be ourselves and never to be somebody else. The confidence to be yourself. That is humility, right? If you are humble, it doesn't mean that you are not an aggressive person. It doesn't mean that you are not going to be, pushing your way forward, but not at somebody else's expense, who is part and parcel of your family. See what I'm saying? You wouldn't do that at a situation or in a situation where you would be disobedient to your father, who is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So be confident. Yes, we want you to be confident, but also don't try to be someone that you're not. And that you know what that is called, right? It's called vanity. It also could affect or display a psychological disease, sickness, because you're trying to be, and this is the reason why these are so very important is because the problems that we face today as a people, or the world is facing, they always dress it up as if one is black, the other is white, or sometimes it's male versus female, or sometimes it's rich versus the poor. You know, there's 1,001 different ways, but it has nothing to do with any of that. Or if it does, it is a very small amount. The issue has to do with the truth versus the lie. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob versus his adversary who wants to sit on his throne but cannot accommodate the seat. So he finds ways to deceive, to lie, and we embrace that as a people. And next thing you know, we are totally in a state of confusion. So we have to understand then that humility is the ability to serve your God without trying to serve another God. That's what I meant when I say to be yourself and not trying to be somebody else. And this is very important at this time. Why? Because if you look around you, what are people doing? They have their lights up. They got their gifts on sale. Now, don't get me wrong. If you want to give me a Christmas gift, you know, maybe I'll accept it if the value is there, right? However, I might get it another day, not at this time. The important thing is we do not participate in the forms of idolatry and divination that is associated with Christmas. It's not part of the instructions that were given to us. And if we do as a people, and if you were to do that, then you violate the covenant with our Father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The second point is obedience. Well, you see how one leads to the other, right? The willingness to worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in spirit and in truth. Simple. And maybe we should go to our first scripture to make the point. Go to Exodus 20, and you will see exactly what I'm trying to teach you here today. And again, we are trying to know who we are as a people. That's why we said, man, know thyself. Understand that we are different, that we are unique. We are a peculiar treasure unto the God of Israel. We are not average. So don't ever sell yourself as being an average person. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't try to be more than you are either. At least not without the proper foundation, because then that creates a state of vanity, and vanity leads to all kinds of sin and transgressions. So obedience is the willingness to worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in spirit and in truth. If you go to Exodus 20, we'll read the first 6 verses. It says, "And God spake these words, saying," now remember who is speaking and to whom. "I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage." We touched on that earlier at the Red Sea. "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." Notice God's plural, the small g, before me. Anything like that would be disobedience. "Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above or in the earth beneath or that is in the waters under the earth." Now, those 3 cover everything that you could see or imagine. Okay, as simple as that. "Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me." So you see all of these pieces put together. You're doing something. You're not just people, okay, it is not just having an image. Image is one thing. You can have a picture of your beautiful wife or your handsome husband. That's okay. But when you start to bow down 3 times a day, then you're creating a problem. When you start calling on the name of that person and telling that person how wonderful he or she is and thanking them, that is a problem. Okay. So you have to be sure that you understand what he is saying here. Thou shalt not make thee any images, you shall not bow down and serve them. And he says, for I, the Lord, thy God, am a jealous God. So, and the punishment accordingly. Okay? And verse 6, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. So we want to be sure that we understand what is expected of us as a people so that we could be obedient. This is very important. And don't let anything compromise that degree of integrity. The third point is our freedom. We have to cherish these points. That's why I'm listing them to you. Freedom is the next one. The freedom is the courage to embrace our biblical history and culture, using our body, soul, and spirit to do so, instead of the popular culture. And guess who has created or is promoting that popular culture? It just happens to be the people that used to enslave us. And if you don't know, we're looking at Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Between the three of them, one buying and selling to the other, and the other one financing the deal. So I always say, if you want to be a Sikh or a Buddhist, I don't approve of it, but I'm not going to say no. But if you want to be a Christian, if you want to practice Judaism or Islam, I say, hell no. And notice I said hell. So these things are very important because they are the ones that had a hand in our enslavement. You do not want to be associated with those three philosophies. I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm saying they're bad for us. That's the key. So leave them alone. And the fourth point I will make is that of leadership. So we have humility, confidence, freedom, leadership. Leadership, the ability to put the truth first, even ahead of love. Can you imagine that? Everybody puts love first, right? They say God loves you. That's a lie. Oh, sorry. Let me correct it. They say God loves everybody. That's a lie. That's a big stinking lie, as a matter of fact. I can smell it. Even ahead of love. So you have to put the truth ahead of love. And do so even in the face of adversity. So it is nice to do what is right when everything is going right. But when things are tough, can you do what is right? It is nice to do what is right when you are being watched. But when you're all alone and nobody watching you, can you do what is right? These are rhetorical questions for you to think about so that you could find out exactly who you are and what is expected of you as an Israelite. Because together we come and become one body. And this is very important to us because it's like the five fingers. If they don't come together, they can't make a fist. You might not be able to defend yourself. So your gift, your personal talent is of tremendous importance to us because without you, we cannot accomplish what we need to accomplish. And if you don't become what we expect you to become, then we have to replace you. And when I say we, I'm not talking about the physical. But that's a whole different lesson. So this is why, for this introduction, we wanted to spend the first 20 minutes on personal behavior. Know yourself. Know what is expected. Know who you are and what you are supposed to do as an Israelite. The next 30 minutes, then, we're going to look at some of our educational faculties, like what can we learn from the scriptures. And remember that it was the scripture that is our book. The Holy Bible is our book of learning and teaching. And if you remember at the beginning, I told you how our elder has used the same scriptures, the same precepts that Moses used so that he could restore this Israelite nation. And he did it exactly as Moses did it at the border of Egypt. Except Moses did it in the old Egypt, our elder did it in the new Egypt. The reason I'm repeating this is because you have to see the structure of where we're going. All the pieces are coming together. We are not deviating. We're not doing anything that is not, what can I say, They cannot be proven. It's right here in the book, the source of our knowledge and our education. We will talk about the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. A lot of people think that that is an adverse state of mind. No, it's not. It's actually an educational precept, these laws. You will see that without the law, you cannot learn anything about yourself, furthermore about somebody else. So it is important to embrace this so that we could become the individuals and the collective people as a nation that we were meant to be. And not only that, that to use these as a stepping stone. Now, you've heard about Jacob's ladder, correct? Well, let's use the laws, statutes, and judgments as Jacob's ladder. Because after Jacob had the dream, he saw in that dream the angels ascending and descending on that ladder. But Jacob never went on the ladder. It's the Spirit. And he saw the God of Israel standing at the top of the ladder and commanding everything. The point I'm making is the ladder is only associated with us, with the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. Okay, you might not get it. Let me keep it simple for you. There is no other connection. There's no other gateway. There is no other method of connecting earth with heaven except by way of the Israelite. That's the point I'm making. The ladder is going to be us, if you will. It's not like we are using a ladder to get to heaven. No, we're not. We are going to become that ladder so that others could come down at the appropriate time and go back up, because you can't go up if you didn't come down. But others can come from any nation on the face of this earth and learn about our God by our teaching. And this is the key. So first of all, the first thing that they will learn is the name of God. It's a very challenging precept, a very challenging principle for those that don't do what is expected of them, that have another God that they serve. And if you go to Exodus 3:13, you will see it right there. We've done this a million times, but it's worth repeating in this framework. Exodus 3:13 to 15. It says, we'll read from, let's go, I went to Exodus 13. Okay. So, and Moses said unto God, Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The God of your fathers have sent me unto you, and they shall say unto me, What is his name? See how Moses zoomed in on this behavioral pattern? It's almost like he knew who he's dealing with, and he needs the confidence to be able to address this issue early. And he says, What is his name? What shall I say unto them? And God said unto Moses, I am that I am. In other words, I am who I am. Notice that in your book, they put it in big letters. See the ignorance of some of these people. But anyway, that's a different story. And he said, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. And God said moreover unto Moses, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, The Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, hath sent me unto you. This is my name forever. Does anybody know how long forever is? Think about it. And this is my memorial unto all generations. All generations. All. How long was that? But again, this is just rhetorical. My point is, the name of God was only given to our Israelite royal family. Nobody else got the name. And that is not to say that we are boasting. That is to say, why would they get it instead of us? This is personal, this is private, this is confidential. This is a family. I don't know the name of your fathers, or your mothers, or your brothers, or your sisters, and why should I? I'm not in your house. So why would you know the name of my father? You're not in my house. It is just that simple. The key here is for us never to neglect that name. And as his children, we have to always glorify that name through our behavior. I always tell the story when I was a little boy, and I would go into the stores, and they would ask, Who are you? I would never say, I'm Michael Hines. What the hell, who's that? Who cares? But if I say I'm Richard Hines' son, oh, wow. Anything I want, I could get. No charge. He's my father. See the difference? So if a man knows how to do that, how much more the God of Israel? Putting in place the opportunity for our reward through obedience, through remembering him by his name. Glorification. You see the difference? People think that, oh, well, God ain't. No. He is a wonderful God. He knows how to treat us because he is our Father. He is the one that chose us. And he did this because of his own wisdom. And you have to think about that sometimes. Why would he choose you? Why would he choose me? I'm not the best, but maybe I have something that I could offer. You see? And do so with a degree of, what should I say, high humility. You know, I always like to think that what we do as individuals, not only is it pleasing to the God of Israel when it is right, it contributes towards other individuals in his family. So it's not just personal. All of us will benefit. I always say when one of us succeed, we all benefit one way or another. And it's important to understand that. When one of us does the right thing, we all benefit. So I'm not telling you to do something because I don't have your interests, your special interests at heart. And guess what? That's just part of the equation. When you do the right thing, it benefits the family, and your return is incredible. Notice that whoever dropped that it's almost like the icing on the cake right there. The timing is perfect. But your return, it's like a return on your investment. It's greater than you could ever imagine. Because not only have you done something for yourself that is positive, you've done something for the family, for the nation that is fantastic. Trust me. You know, there's the system that we have in ancient times called the Jubilee system. And it's worth investigating because it's like this. You say you have a business and there's 100 people that owe you debt. You know, they've done doing business. And you said, you know what? Your debt is forgiven. And they're like, what? Yeah, you're good. And then, because you did that, you owe somebody else. And they say your debt is forgiven. It's that continuous process of generosity that is amazing. And it comes right back to the other guy who was the last forgiveness. It's a recycling of rewards. It's amazing. It's an amazing system. And I hope and pray that one day we'll get back to it, where you could be forgiven of your debt, and the person forgiving you could be forgiven of theirs, and it just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And not only that, when the final guy comes, and now he has to build a big barn to keep all of his reward because he didn't expect it. And he decides, you know what, let me give it away instead. Now that unleashes a whole new agenda of rewards. So all I'm saying is, you do good, you get good. And that's the way it's supposed to be. It is not that you keep struggling all the time. In the world today, they call it democracy. But people don't understand that democracy begins with demon. I mean, I'm just saying, I didn't make the word. Look it up. And you will see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, what are the options? What are the options? People might say, you want to be communist? I don't recommend that either. But my point is, a kingdom. A kingdom. Where the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is your father and king at the same time, and your judge. You see the difference? You see? So there's somebody with wisdom. There's not somebody trying to make a profit. And that's it. So, but I'm just saying, this is not part of what I was supposed to talk about, but, you know, things, they just come to you and you have to let them out. But, yeah, That's how it is sometimes, and it is something worth thinking about. The second point I wanted to make with regards to who we are as a people is the fact that the truth, the spirit of truth, was only given to us. The spirit of truth was only given to the Israelite nation. You don't believe me? I think if you look on the wall there, you'll see it for yourself. Psalms 147. And you'll see what I'm talking about. It says, if you go to verse 19 and 20, he showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. They have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. Now, it's one of my favorite Psalms, by the way. But my point here is that the spirit of truth was only given to Israel. Reading that, a lot of people might say, well, where does it say anything about truth? It says, he showeth his word. His word is the truth. Doesn't get any better than that. So the point is that these are precepts that are there for our enlightenment, our education, so that we can know who we are as a people, as individuals and as a nation, right? But they're also there to inspire, to build confidence, so that we could do what we have to do to serve our Father with a great deal of humility, respect, and trust and confidence, knowing that what we're doing is the right thing. It is not we're doing it because we're going to get something in return. We're doing it because it's the right thing to do. Even if we did not benefit immediately, and when I say immediately, within your lifetime, our children stand to benefit. Why? Let's look at it this way on the reverse side, because sometimes when you put the positive arguments, people don't get it. So let's put the negative arguments and see what happens. Remember when we didn't know who we were? How did that happen? Sorry, I have to pick on the moms because they're the ones that carried us for 9 months. They're the ones that breastfed us. How many months? Another 9? Whatever. My point is, we didn't know, maybe I should speak for myself. I didn't know that I was an Israelite. I didn't know what was expected of me because my mom didn't teach me that. And my father didn't have a clue. Because her mom didn't know. Because her mom didn't know. I'm about 3 generations now. Her mom, I can go all the way back to the time of Moses, where we had that disconnect between our father and the family. So none of us knew who we really were. They call us all kind of names. Negro, Coons. I can't say the other one. Okay, I can say it. Niger. It happened, right? And we all suffered accordingly because we didn't know who we were and we didn't know what we were supposed to do as a people. And we blamed everybody except the guy in the mirror. And that didn't help either. So all I'm saying is if we get to know and we do what is right, we pass it on to our children. It's our obligation to make sure that our children, especially in this world, because this world, even though there is so much at our fingertips, a lot of people don't understand what is expected of them. They know one thing: money, 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 money. But they have no idea even how to use money. Back in the day, we didn't use the banks. We pool our resources. Can you imagine a black man and another black man putting money together? Wow. I got so many negative images in my head now. It's terrible. Knife, guns. The only person that benefits from that is the undertaker. Okay, the Christian pastor. He gets to do what he does every Sunday, pray over a dead body. But the point I'm making is, where is that trust factor? Where is it? How do we come together to pool our resources and allow growth? Can that be done again? I think it can be. If we have that commitment to our Father first, well, first we look in the mirror and we see, I'm going to do this. And then we do it amongst ourselves. We glorify our Father in the process. And when things are tough, we help one another. And we do it right. These are some of the characteristics of a united family. And that's who we're supposed to be as a people. This is why it is necessary that we know who we are. Man, know thyself. If we are that united family, it's not just about the money factor. Education, as I'm talking about, is the biggest factor. And we're not talking just the academic structure. We're looking at how can we work together. Everyone has a skill set. How can we pool those skills to make the family even more productive? Whether if you could, maybe fix cars or fix the stoves, whatever. We do this. When you come over to fix the stove, guess what? We have your meal ready for you. Nothing like some good lamb chops. Nothing like that. With a glass of wine. Or a Guinness if you so prefer. Nothing wrong with that. Some people like lemonade. Nothing wrong with that either. All of these are the things, and like we said, and I like to say, the family that eats together will stay together. This is the key. So without that trust factor, we are nothing. Because, and here's the biggest point, we are not ordinary. We are highly spiritual people. One hand will, how did they say that? Grease the other? I don't know. Wash? Yeah, okay. I was talking after you wash, you have to put lotion on. What do I know, right? My point, though, is we have to help each other. We can only help if we trust. We can only trust if we serve the same God. But we have to learn to trust Him first and foremost. And we have to remember that there is a covenant in place, a covenant of laws, statutes, and judgments. Look and see when we didn't do right what happened. And then flip the coin and see what happened when we did right. One of my favorite characters is Joseph. And he had so many negative components in his life growing up. But yet he didn't allow them to get into the way of his success. As a matter of fact, one can argue that he may have used some of those negative precepts to advance his own personal life. And when he got where he didn't even know he was going to get there, but when he got where he got, he didn't forget his brethren. He reached back to help them, pull them up, so that they too can glorify our Father. It's always good when you're coming from a deficit position to give thanks. It's always good. And this is why sometimes when we are in a negative situation, it helps us to grow, because we learn from our mistakes. Because what we are doing in this era has not been done since the days of Moses. So yes, we are going to make a few mistakes. But so what? As long as we stay with the precepts of truth, remembering that we are the children of the covenant, the children of the Most High God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we cannot fail. Yes, we will go down. Yes, there are times when things will not go the way we want them to be, but we cannot fail. And just because somebody else that is serving the other guy is making lots of money doesn't make them a better people. As a matter of fact, I'm glad they're making all that money. Because right now we're in a situation where they're not doing as well as they thought they were going to do. Some of you know this woman that passed away just a few months ago. She left to, I don't know, trillions. Trillions with a T. What good is it to her? Who knows what her judgment will be? Just because you passed away doesn't mean that it's the end. That's the end of that first phase. Now the second phase is going to kick in. Maybe she'll be a slave for the next 100 years. I don't know. It's up to the one that does the judgment. But my point is, do what you can do now while you have your being, while you have your body, soul, and spirit, in order to prepare for what will come tomorrow. How can you do that? You could qualify to be a part of the kingdom of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob by following the instructions that he has given to his children, the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. Only our Israelite family may teach about the God of Israel and baptize. And this is one of my favorite scriptures. I always read it, Matthew 28, 16 to 20. And now is a good time also to remember that, because everybody thinks that because there's a Bible, they have a right to be able to teach from it. I disagree. I say you have a right to read it, make notes, but you're not supposed to teach. Any teaching, you violate the precepts thereof. Why? Let's go to Matthew 28 and verse 16. We've read this many times. It says, then the 11 disciples went away into Galilee, into a mountain where Jesus had appointed them. And when they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. And Jesus came and spake unto them, saying, all power is given to me in heaven and in earth. Now, we know that this is not Jesus talking. We know that, you see, and this brings me to another point. I'll read the rest in a minute. We have to understand the spirit and the vessel. Very significant in knowing who we are. The spirit and the vessel. Here's the vessel. We call the vessel Jesus. The spirit, the Christ. And when you see things like all power is given unto me in heaven and in earth, how can you have power in heaven and you've not been there? Okay, he can argue, well, his Father is in heaven. Yeah. But they said the power is given to you. If he didn't say that, we could maybe give him a pass on that. This is the Christ. He says, go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. You have to know the name. You can't just say, I baptize you in the name of the Father. No, hell no. That's not going to work. You got to know the name, but that's a different story. Teaching them to observe all things, whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Amen. So this is the Christ, instructing the 11 disciples. Why 11? They're supposed to be 12, but one betrayed him. Judas. So that's why there were 11. Why is this important? Because the 12 disciples, or in this case the 11, represent the Israelite nation. Our Israelite nation. We are the ones that understand what this is saying. And he says, go ye therefore and teach and baptize. Nobody else. So what they do on Sunday with a bucket and before a cross, that's on them. We can't argue. We can't dispute. We wouldn't deal with that. But know that it has nothing to do with the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. It's just that simple. But they are probably getting a reward from their God. That satanic guy that tried to sit in the seat of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So we have to understand these precepts. Our Israelite family, again I repeat, is the only family on the planet that has been authorized to teach from the Bible or to baptize in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Without these understandings, or the understanding of these precepts, I should say, we have no idea who we are and the honor that we have at our disposal. The integrity that we display helps to keep us in good standing with the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. If we show him through our behavioral patterns that he made the right decision when he chose us, then he will continue to build that wall of fire around us and protect us. I think Teacher Matthew said it last night. He says we pass our children through the fire. It's not a literal fire, but it's a spiritual fire. Because in order to get to the other God, we've got to go through some measure of disgrace, disgusting behavior patterns. That wall of fire that is around us is no longer effective once we start to serve another God. And these we do sometimes without even knowing it. Because everything is so subtle today. They tell you that everything is for the children. You don't know exactly what they're really telling you until you take the time to step back and analyze it. And then you see, damn, how did they do that? It happens. We have to focus. We have to put our focus and our trust on the God of Israel. And we are the only ones that benefit from his focus. And if you go to the book of Amos, you will see what I'm talking about. Amos chapter 3. The focus of the God of Israel is only on our Israelite nation. This is important to understand because if the focus is on us, when we do good, we get the praises, we get the benefits, we get the reward. When we do bad, we get hammered. Okay? And so this is where we have to approach this whole process from a perspective of humility, from a perspective of building the family, not just ourselves. Because understanding this, knowing that we are here for the good of the whole, is more important than knowing that we are here for the good of self. Now, don't get me wrong. You've got to develop yourself. But remember, we do it not for our own self-gratification or self-glorification. We are here to build a family. And not just any family. We are here to build a royal family. Or should I say, the royal family, because our Father is the King. Listen, if you don't quite get it. Listen carefully. He owns this entire earth. Can I say that again? He owns the planet. Everything on the planet is his. He can do whatever he wants to do. We are just so grateful, I think, that he holds back. Because any dad that gets upset, he'd break up everything. Start again. I don't need this. These people doing everything that is contrary, just get rid of them. But there's a reason for everything, and that's a whole different message. He is merciful. And we need to learn to appreciate that, not take advantage of it. Because when we take advantage of his mercy, we lose. We've just built up a bigger deficit than we had before. We need to be patient. We need to be progressive. And we need to be humble. These are important issues. But let me read Amos 3. It says, "Hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel." Notice how it's very specific. "Against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for your iniquities." So how are you going to blame the white man when you're the one that is guilty? You can't blame anyone else. You got to blame the guy in the mirror. He's the one at fault. And if you think you can do something against your brothers and your sisters, and just because no one is punishing you, you got away with it. No, You just added another item to your list. When the day comes, you have to deal with that, one way or another. Either way, you pay the price. It is as simple as that. I'm not here to chastise you. I'm here to make you aware of the circumstances that we face as a family so that you can make yourself a better person. They say that awareness is the key to success or to fixing the problem. If you don't know that there is an issue, you're not going to be able to fix it. So it's better, and not just to know that there is a problem, to tell you the steps that are necessary to rectify the problem, to bring in place a solution that could be for your benefit. You never know sometimes that we are holding back our own success. Because if we do what is right, then it makes somebody else, what should I say, competitive in that regard, so that they too want to do something that is right, so that collectively you've started now a competitive, progressive environment where everybody is trying to be good and right and progressive and constructive. But if you sow the seed of destruction, guess what? The seed of destruction will spread faster than the seed of construction. Because there is more, there appears to be, I haven't really done a test, but there appears to be all kinds of demonic forces that are ready to lap up all the negative. And I know our elders be saying things for 40 years almost. People can't hear. And I'm like, why can't they hear what he's saying? It's right here, it's written. But they cannot hear. Because why? Every time something is spoken, somebody comes and they grab that word or block it. And you hear something completely different. I've witnessed it. I'm not going to tell you the circumstances. But it shocked me. And I've witnessed it because it used to be a time when, before things happened, I would get an alert. And I'll tell you what the alert was. I would get a feeling right here and in my head, and it trickles all the way down. And I would shiver sometimes because I'm like, at first I didn't know what it was. And then I saw the pattern. And I'd be like, what is this? And then I saw what will happen. It's almost like someone is saying, watch, keep your eyes open, take a look, see what's going to happen. I've seen it. I've seen when one thing was said, and just not less than 2 feet away, something completely opposite was heard. And this was supposed to be in a constructive environment. Can you imagine if the environment was not constructive? All I'm suggesting is that we have to be careful. We have to be very mindful. If we set, before we go to bed at night, we set the alarm so that we can get up on time in the morning. So you have to set your alarm for constructive behavior so that when the negative comes, you can rebuff that. I'd love to go on for another hour. I really would. And I'm sorry that I have to go so quickly. But there's a man coming up after me whose shoes I'm not worthy to touch. And I'm sure that he is going to build very highly on everything that has been said here and even take it to a whole different level. Priest Freddie is an amazing gentleman. I know him from way back when he was just a young man, and he's always been fantastic. And I appreciate all the time that he has shared with me, an old guy like me who doesn't know much. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time, for listening, and please don't let my words fall to the ground. If there's 2 or 3 items that you could pick out of it and use them to benefit yourself, trust me, I too will benefit from your constructive behavior. Because as I said, when one of us succeeds, the entire family benefits. And the last thing I will say is, one of the delights that I have, a delight that I have in this nation, is the fact that we allow individuals to stand on our shoulders. And right now, we are all standing on Elder Shadrach's shoulders. Thank you, Elder Shadrach. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Peace.
Hello, I hope you're enjoying the program so far. We're excited you've joined us for today's event. If this is your first time, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And don't forget to click the notification bell to be kept up to date with all the latest news. Also, take a second to like, comment, and share our videos. That's right, like, comment, and share our videos. We would really appreciate that. Also, we are really passionate about sharing our Israelite culture and would welcome your generosity in helping us to reach more people. So please feel free to leave us a donation. If you would like to learn more or are thinking about joining us, then please go ahead and fill out the form in the description box below, and a member of the Welcome Committee will be in contact. Thank you so much for your time, and I leave you with peace, love, truth, prosperity, and power.
Peace and good afternoon, everyone. Before I begin, let me go into the scriptures to open up. Go to Psalm 25. Unto thee, O Lord, do I lift up my soul. O my God, I trust in thee. Let me not be ashamed. Let not my enemies triumph over me. Yea, let none that wait on thee be ashamed. Let them be ashamed which transgress without cause. Shew me thy ways, O Lord. Teach me thy paths. Lead me in thy truth, and teach me. For thou art the God of my salvation. On thee do I wait all the day. Remember, O Lord, thy tender mercies and thy loving kindnesses, for they have been ever of old. Remember not the sins of my youth, nor my transgressions. According to thy mercy, remember thou me for thy goodness' sake, O Lord. Good and upright is the Lord. Therefore will he teach sinners in the way. The meek will he guide in judgment, and the meek will he teach his way. All the paths of the Lord are mercy and truth, unto such as keep his covenant and his testimonies. For thy name's sake, O Lord, pardon my iniquity, for it is great. What man is he that feareth the Lord? Him shall he teach in the way that he shall choose. His soul shall dwell at ease, and his seed shall inherit the earth. The secret of the Lord is with them that fear him, and he will show them his covenant. Mine eyes are ever toward the Lord, for he shall pluck my feet out of the net. Turn thee unto me, and have mercy upon me, for I am desolate and afflicted. The troubles of my heart are enlarged. O bring thou me out of my distresses. Look upon my affliction and my pain, and forgive all my sins. Consider my enemies, for they are many, and they hate me with cruel hatred. O keep my soul and deliver me. Let me not be ashamed, for I put my trust in thee. Let integrity and uprightness preserve me, for I wait on thee. Redeem Israel, O God, out of all his troubles. Selah and Selah. Amen. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. I say it's going to be a tough act to follow, Elder Michael. He always puts things in a certain way that it makes it difficult to proceed afterwards. So I just want to say this. For those of you that made it here today, I say congratulations. Congratulations, and I say welcome. And I know that we have somebody here who has traveled a great distance to be with us. Hilaire, where is Hilaire? Hilaire, can you please take a seat, sir? I know that you are on duty, but it's only me here. There's no one that's gonna come and get me. I'm the least of anybody's worries. So please, Hilaire, I know that you're guarding the door. Is there anyone that could sort of switch out? Matthew? Someone? Anyone? Because I need for him to sit down. You guys need to know this about my brother Hilaire. He has traveled a great distance to be here today. And I would be honored if he would take a seat, because he's traveled 6-7 hours. And I know I'm putting you on the spot, Hilaire, and I know that we are live today. We are going out over the internet, and there are a lot of people watching. But Hilaire, you're going to really make me look bad if you don't sit down. Thank you, Hilaire. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I do need for you to have a seat, because I'm really grateful. And if nobody's gonna get up and give Hilaire a seat, I'm gonna come down from the stage here and get upset with somebody. Any seat that you see, Hilaire, that you like, apart from the worship seat over there, because worship, I know they sometimes they could get pretty, yes. But you want me to, I'm to do what now? To keep it going? I'm sorry. I could only be me. So today, I'm going to be myself. A lot of times when you see us come through here, it's hard to be, it's completely unscripted. This is live. There's no teleprompt. There's nobody telling me what to say, to stay away from this, so I have to just be myself, and that's why I thank you guys for being here today, because I was sitting out, the office upstairs at the house, it looks out into the backyard, and there's this great big cherry tree in the backyard. It's just a gigantic cherry tree in the back, and I'm looking at this tree, and during the summer it has all these leaves. We don't need to put up the umbrella to block out the sun because it just provides all the shade. And today I'm looking at the same tree, and it's just shaking, and it's got no leaves, and it's like, wow, just a few months ago, this same tree was full of so much, but now it looks like it's in a war, because the wind is blowing so hard. So that's why I thank you for being here today, because it really is. It's like a war out there, in more ways than one. The atmosphere, the weather has changed. Things are different. Much so the same way that if you are here today in the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, I thank you. I'm grateful that you're here, because it really is a war out there. And a lot of us don't realize that we are in the midst of a war. We are in the middle of a war. I know Elder Michael, he's so calming. He just, if you're angry, he soothes you. If you're upset, because Elder Michael has that effect. But you wouldn't know that there's actually, the way he puts the scriptures, you wouldn't know that it is a matter of life and death for you. For everyone that is out there, it is a matter of life and death. It's true, because everything just seems so casual. The way that we live life today, and you wouldn't know that we are in the midst of a war, and the battlefield actually takes place between these 66 books from Genesis to Revelations. And for you, my people, and for anyone who wants to know the truth, you have to understand this. You have to understand this book, because it is a matter of life and death, because we have been so conditioned to believe that it doesn't matter, and that it's not important, and that things are not what they used to be, and that God changed. But I do know for a fact that every single one of us was raised as one of those things. I've been told to be careful as to what I say because YouTube could shut us down and they don't want us to say certain things. But you have to be careful. You have to be careful and understand that, yes, even if you are not practicing, even if you are an atheist, I don't think we'll get in trouble if we say atheist, right? I don't think so. Because nobody wants to be an atheist, except for the atheist. But there are people that are actually atheists that are masquerading as those that serve God, but they're not actually serving the God in the Bible. And that's what's important. It is important because we have all been taught. We have all grew up. I have a Caribbean background, as most of you here, and if you don't have a Caribbean background like Elder Castrilli, you have a background that is rooted in Exianity. Can I say Exianity? We all were raised as Exians. I say Exians because you have to omit. X means to omit, to cross out. And we have been crossed out and omitted for thousands of years. The brilliancy of it is that it changes its name. It'll go from heathenistic things, it'll go from paganism, it'll go from worship of nature, but it all is the same thing. I think what upsets us is when this book is utilized. And I stress, I do have to continue to go back to this book, because this book, it really and truly doesn't need anyone to speak for it. It speaks for itself. Man, know thyself. Well, I guess in today's term, you can even say, woman, know thyself, right? I think. Or, sorry, being, person, know thyself. Things that everybody's so touchy nowadays. But, yes, man, know thyself. I first was introduced to that phrase, I would say, about 32 years ago. I know, I don't look it, I know. But I have to let the gray come in a little bit because I don't have any hair anymore. I used to have hair. I used to be like Issachar there, you know, just that big head of hair, but those days are gone. I gave it all to Azariah. He has all my hair now. But that phrase, I was first introduced to that phrase by my elder, Elder Shadrach. Man, know thyself. Interestingly enough, our Elder Shadrach, back in those years, before there was an Israelite nation, before there was an Elder Castrilli, before there was an Elder Michael, it was just him by himself. He created a pamphlet. It was red, a red pamphlet with writing. It said, man, know thyself. This is something that elder used to do. Our elder used to travel the Dufferin 29 bus. And what he would do, and even on the train, and what he would do, he would take the pamphlet that he created. And then I don't know if I have one. I might have to dig someplace and try and see if I have one of those. It was a 3-pager that would fold, and he would leave it on the seat in the train or on the bus, and look and see, and just sit to see if anybody would pick it up and start reading it. And I'm quite sure, Elder, you had your adventures, but I'm telling you, Elder, look at what your hard work has done. Look, because now we went from Earl's Court to the Accord Center to Kiel to St. Regis to Dufferin, and now we're here, and now we are going all over the entire planet. Thank you, Elder Shadrach. Thank you for all the work that you do and have done. You see, we do things different here at the Israelite Nation. We're not going to wait until it's a situation where you can't respect and honor and lift up. This is our elder, for crying out loud. Do you know how important it is for us to actually know this book? I was raised to live my life a specific way, and that had nothing to do with this Bible, with this book, but I was constantly being told and shown, and just it was just forced on you to live a life that is foreign to this book, a life that is foreign to these scriptures. So when we say, man, know thyself, for us, it's very important. You have to do your research. One thing that I admire about my elder is that when elder taught us all, and he still continues to this day, is when you have a firm understanding of this book, go out and read anything. Read everything. Gain all that you can. As a matter of fact, we are in the information age, are we not? Research is so much easier nowadays, but we are in the information age. So it's very interesting, the things that you discover, that you're able to find out on your own. Like, you don't have to do it the old-fashioned way, that we had to go to all these libraries and look for books and sign out books. And Elder Michael has a vast collection of those books that never made it back to the library. My own library card I no longer have. I don't think they'll accept me applying for a library card. Because I took out books and they never made it back. They were just too interesting. I just needed to have it to my collection. I don't even know if people know nowadays what a book actually is. But it's true. Like, reading is one of those things that is so very important to us. It's the basic fundamental that you have to know. Believe it or not, to understand this Bible, you have to be able to read English. Most people don't believe that. They don't. There's this clip. I was with my daughter Jaleesa. She sends me these clips, and it was at the wrong time that she made me watch this particular one. It was about a guy. Apparently he was standing in front of a congregation of a whole bunch of people, and he was trying to read Genesis chapter 1. I don't know if anybody's seen this clip, but I couldn't drive, because he said, he goes on, he's reading the book, or attempting to read the book. He says, Genesis 1. Genesis 1. And he's reading, in the beginning, I don't know if you guys have seen that. You've seen that clip? But he goes on for about like 3 minutes or so, trying to say in the beginning. In the beginning, and he looks to the side. I'm telling you, I was driving home with Jaleesa yesterday. After I picked her up from her, I said, don't play that, because I literally, my eyes were closed. I was laughing so hard. I couldn't drive. I said, don't play that. Turn it off. Turn it off, because I'm telling you, and people want to learn other languages. Oh my gosh. Thank you, God of Israel. You know, our God has a sense of humor. He has to. He has to have a sense of humor. Whew. Let me get some water, because as I'm thinking about that, it's hard for me. If you guys haven't seen that clip, ask me, I'll send it to you. It is by far the funniest thing. But you have to know how to speak English and read English to begin. That is the first thing. And wouldn't you know, wouldn't you have it, that we, the children of Israel, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, yes, that's who we are. That is who we are. Own it. It's yours. Take the good and the bad, because we have to learn most people don't want to be Israelites. They don't. Because they say, wow, you're those people? You're one of those people? That's what you get first. Ooh, you're one of those people? But let me tell you something about those people. Those people are the people that every people want to be. We are those people. Everyone wants to be us. And I'm so thankful for the Spirit of Truth that we can literally now open this book. Man, know thyself. It's very important. I want to do something. Let's go to Romans, because I don't want to talk too much today. I want this book to speak for itself. Romans chapter 7. And for those that are out in cyberland, smash the like button, make a comment, share, subscribe to the channel. I want you to know that we are coming up on one of the most profound time of the years for us. So I want you to prepare. Prepare for Passover. Prepare for our New Year's. Start putting away your pennies. Start putting away your nickels and your dimes. For those that are able to sup with us at Passover, know that on April the 3rd, and I remember that date very well, because that's one of my son's birthday. So he won't get to have any birthday cake. But he will be celebrating the first night of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, our Passover on April the 3rd, 2023. So make sure that you get in touch with us. Like, I know that there are quite a few people that are there right now, just chomping at the bits, wanting to sup at Passover. So please, 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 whatever you do, make sure that you start putting away from now, because for those of us, we don't celebrate Xmas, right? That's not something that we do. So I know Elder Michael doesn't buy gifts, but he'll accept gifts. I'm the same. I don't buy gifts for anybody, but if you want to give me a gift, now is the time. You can go right ahead. Anyways, Romans chapter 7. I want to read this here because it's very, to me, it's one of those scriptures that lets us know, man, know thyself. Because there are so many things that you have to learn. And you get that knowledge of who you are as an Israelite and what it means to be a child of Israel. But there are other things that once you are an Israelite, you have to learn. Let's read this. It says, from the very first verse in Romans chapter 7, know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law. That's a very interesting statement. This is the author of this particular book, by the way, they say it is Paul. And we are in the book of Romans, in the commonly called the New Testament or the Second Testament. But I want you to take very close note and pay attention to what is being said here. It says, know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law. I speak to them that know the law, how that the law hath dominion over a man as long as he liveth. Wow. When I was raised to be something completely different. They didn't read this sort of stuff when they said. It says here, verse 2, for the woman which hath an husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as he liveth. But if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law of her husband. Take note, this is specifically talking about Israel. This is not your common everyday husband and wife people that's out there. This book, these teachings, these sayings are for a specific people. Although we're reading in the book of Romans, it's a letter that he's writing to the Romans. Not just any Romans, but for the people that are in Rome, that are following, for his people that are in Rome, the people that are just like him. This law is still there. This is the law of Moses. It says here, for the woman which hath an husband is bound by the law to her husband as long as he liveth. But if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law of her husband. That's not the law today, is it? That's not how it is today, right? I don't think so. But this is Israel's law. It says here in 3, so then, if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from the law, so that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man. So that is the premise of the law of Israel. Not the law when you go outside, but the law for our people, which constitutes and makes up our culture. It says here, wherefore, my brethren, ye also are become dead to the law by the body of Christ, that ye should be married to another, even to him who is raised from the dead, that we should bring forth fruit unto God. It's getting confusing, isn't it? When you try this at home, it can be very confusing. But what Paul is doing, he's giving an allegory. He's letting the people know that this is what it's like when you are dead to the law. These are people that he's trying to educate who know nothing about the law, the Romans. It says here, verse 5, for when we were in the flesh, the motions of sin, which were by the law, did work in our members to bring forth fruit unto death. What does that mean? It means you don't know what the law is until you have sinned. The law is there. And then when you transgress the law, then you sin. But before that, you didn't have an idea about sin. Stick with him here. This is my brother Paul. It says here, but now we are delivered from the law, that being dead wherein we were held, that we should serve in newness of spirit and not in the oldness of the letter. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? He's asking a question. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? Because we have been taught our entire lives that there is no more law. There is no more law. This is why we have to learn this book, because they teach us that you are a Gentile. You, the children of slavery, are Gentiles. That's what they try to teach us. And they've hammered that into our heads from the time that I could remember. And because you are a Gentile, there is no law. I remember having this argument and this discussion with my dad years ago. So then I asked the question, so if there is no more law, do the children of Israel still have to keep the law? I always ask that question. Do the children of Israel, are they still under the law? And you know what they always tell you? They always say, yes. The children of Israel are still under the law. But they tell you you don't need to keep the law. I know. Can I get a show of hands who have been told that you don't have to keep the law anymore? I know that you've been told that, because that's what they told me. You don't have to keep the law. All that old stuff is done away with. Right? That's what they say. Oh, that stuff is done away with. You don't have to do that anymore. So why are you wasting? Why are you doing that? But then ask, do the children of Israel have to keep the law? And when they answer you, they will always tell you, yes. Yes, the children of Israel have to keep the law. It's very important. Listen to my brother Paul and what he's saying here. Verse 7, what shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Nay, I had not known sin, but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law had said, thou shalt not covet. You see? I didn't know. Hey, the law is saying, because he's quoting the laws of Moses, thou shalt not covet. When you see your brother have a nice car and a nice house, you don't do the red-eye business stuff. You don't do that and say, oh, I want that. Oh, I wish I had that. What is your brother's is your brother's. What is your sister's is your sister's. You don't covet, because that's what we're not supposed to do. But I always find this strange. Elder Michael read Exodus 20. Exodus chapter 20. Very interesting, but I'll continue. Verse 9, and I know a lot of us can relate to this here. Verse 9. Oh no, actually, no, I'm on verse 8. You guys got to keep me on track here. But sin, taking occasion by the commandment, wrought in all manner of me covetousness. For without the law, sin was dead. For I was alive without the law once. Many of us, before, if you can relate with me, you would laugh and you'll chuckle, because I thought that I was actually living. I thought life was good. I thought, man, I'm alive. This was in my early 20s, by the way. You know, you're thinking that, wow, you're really living life. For I was alive without the law. That was before Israel, before the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. For I was alive without the law once, but when the commandment came, sin revived, and I died. That old man, that old thing that you were, died. It died, and now you are coming into who you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to be. And the commandment, verse 10, which was ordained to life, I found to be unto death. I want you to know that what we are reading is a personal account of a particular person, a particular Israelite. Some of it you can relate to, but some of it you can't relate to, because this is his man, know thyself. He's telling you about what it is that he's going through. This is Paul. And the commandment which was ordained to life, I found to be unto death. For sin, taking occasion by the commandment, deceived me, and by it slew me. This guy, he's good. But I don't know if any of you, some of us might be able to remember back in the day, there was a comedian I grew up by the name of Flip Wilson. I don't know if too many people know about Flip Wilson, but he used to always have a skit that he did. I don't know if, I think he did wear a dress too. Geraldine? Geraldine, yes. But there was a skit that he would do about, you know, women walking by the by the shop and always seeing the dress and always wanting to get the dress. But his whole thing was, the devil made me do it. It was the devil that made me do it. That was his scapegoat. The devil made me do it. If you don't know who Flip Wilson is, for all you younger folks, maybe you can YouTube it. I guess I'm kind of telling my age somewhat, but it's great. I enjoy my age. I thoroughly do, because I was born in the 60s, late 60s, and as you grow up, I'm telling you, those were some really good times. Really, really good times. I came, I think, in the 70s. A brethren of mine told me that the place that we grew up recently, they leveled it. It's just gone. So all those grassways are gone. The only thing that's left is one building, 5 Needle away. That's the only building that's left. But all the places that I was a child, where I learned to swim in the community center, at that pool, it's all gone. And they're just going to put up nothing but condos. Jane and Finch. Wow. Imagine that. Whew. My. Things are gone. But it says here, and the commandment which was ordained to life I found to be unto death, for sin, taking occasion by the commandment, deceived me and slew me. Wherefore, and I want you to pay attention to this verse. Wherefore, the law is... Oh, you guys don't sound too confident. Wherefore, the law is... Uh-huh. So the law that we just discovered, that they've been telling us our whole life, is done away with. We are finding out today that the law is holy. Holy. My goodness. What were we taught? Who was teaching us? Like, who was reading? How could you actually read this Bible, read that verse, and then still teach and tell people that the law is no more? Even if you are not an Israelite, and if you want to serve God, wouldn't you have some questions? Wouldn't you question and say, wait a minute, you're telling me that the law is no more, but the book is telling us that the law is holy. God, holy. God is holy. The law is holy. So, why are they telling us to do something that is unholy? Like doing away with the law. Saying that it's unholy. Because that's what you're doing in essence, right? If the law is holy and you're saying, I don't want to do that stuff. That stuff is old. Oh, you don't have to do that stuff. Don't worry about that stuff. Who's teaching you? Someone is teaching you that has no authority to teach you. Because you cannot relate. The only way that you can teach an Israelite is if you are an Israelite. You can't teach Israelites if you're not an Israelite. You have no authority to teach the children of God. And a lot of people take that authority on themselves. Millions of people do that. You're going to see them tomorrow morning. You're going to see the stadiums lined up, stories upon stories, acres, land, and millions of people teaching from this book that they have no authority to teach from. The book is telling you that the law is holy. The same laws, Elder Michael, Exodus chapter 20, it teaches you that it's holy. And what's the first commandment? What is the first commandment? No other gods before me. That is number one. And he's very specific when he says gods. G-O-D-S, small g. Because he knows there are many gods. You can choose which God you want to worship. But he's saying, Israel, there is only one God that you're supposed to serve. He is one. One God. One God. Not multiple gods. Because he knows there are many gods. But here, we are reading this here in the New Testament, of all places. Verse 13. Sorry, no, I'm still on 12, right? Wherefore the law is holy, and the commandment holy, and just, and good. Period. What then? That which is good made death unto me? He's confused too. I would be confused. God forbid. But sin, that it might appear sin, worketh death in me by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceeding sinful. For we know that the law is spiritual. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, if you smoke. Or freeze it as an ice cube and put it in your drink and drink it. Is that better? Is that better, Elder Michael? All right. So freeze it in the freezer and put it in the drink and drink it. Because we know that the law is spiritual. Those laws that Moses came down from the mountain with to give to us, they are our spiritual thing, spiritual nature. So when our God ordained for us to keep them, he meant for us to be a spiritual people. We are spiritual beings, every single one of us. And all that we're doing right now is we're having a physical experience. We're having a physical experience, but we are spiritual beings. This is why, as as the law states, everything, if you just look, and you don't have to take you don't have to analyze it too much, but everything lives under a law. Everything lives under a law. The sun rises in the east. It rises every single day. Rises in the east, and then it sets in the west every single day. Even today when you can't see it, it's still there. When it's raining, when it's snowing, when there's hail, when there's sleet, the sun rises every day from the east, and then it sets in the west. That is a law that it can't do anything else. A law set by the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Put that in place. He put that in place. So the sun rises and then it sets every single day. Why is it that only some people can think that they could change laws? You can't change laws that you haven't initiated. You can't change laws that you haven't created. You can't tell the children of Jacob, the children of Israel, that they can't keep laws. Do you know what happens when the children of Israel don't keep laws? Do you know? Can anyone tell me what happens when the children of Israel don't keep the law? Judgment, punishment, the whole world is turned upside down, inside out, crossways and diagonal. You have Gentiles trying to teach the children of Israel. What the hell is that? What is that? You can't teach it. How are you going to teach me about my father? How? Did you grow up in my house? Do you know what time he woke up to go to work? Do you know what he wants when he comes home? Do you know where he works? How are you going to teach me about my father? No one can teach you about the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. No one. And don't let them think that they can, because that's what this book is all about. As I said, we are in the book of Romans, in the New Testament. And what are we talking about? We're talking about the law. The law of Moses. The law is spiritual, but I am carnal, says Paul, soul under sin. For that which I do, I do allow not. This is the struggle. We're getting into what it means now for man to know thyself. We're getting into that. For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that I do not. But I hate that I do. He's conflicted. There's a struggle that is going on. For the good that I would do, I do not. This is what it means to be an Israelite today. Because we struggle. When you see your brethren struggling, just know they're having a Paul moment. They are having a Paul moment. Let's try and read that again, shall we? He's saying here, for that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that I do not. But what I hate, that do I. Oh my goodness. This is my brother Paul. And sometimes this is us. This is me sometimes. I have to admit, this is me because, man, it always comes in those times when you're trying to focus so hard. When you're trying to focus when you're fasting. Why is it I can smell everything? You ever been fasting sometimes? And you can just smell everything? From 5 houses down? You know what they're cooking down there? I'm sorry for you if you live in an apartment building. I remember, you know, I tell my children every day, like, they don't understand how good they have it. Because I grew up in an apartment building in Jane and Finch. And I'm telling you, man, if you grew up where I grew up, you're going to close that cereal box. You're going to close the cereal box and the packaging, you're going to close it up tight. Because certain things come out at night. You flick on the switch. Oh, it's on the wall. On the floor. These guys, they don't know what it's like to grow up with roaches. I'm telling you. I know what it's like to grow up with roaches and mice. You guys don't know how good you have it, man. I'm telling you. I just had a moment there. It's a flashback. But I'm telling you, it's something that you have to appreciate. Because I look at my life, and a lot of times people don't really know how good they have it, or they just don't know that you are actually successful. I always look at myself to say, you know, yeah, I am successful. I made it through my 20s. I made it through 18, 19, and 20. And if you haven't looked already, if you haven't noticed, if you looked at me, like, you would see, like, guys like that look like me, 18, 19, 20, they generally don't make it past there. Generally do not. I mean, and if they are here, they're incarcerated or deported or something. But thank you, God of Israel, I'm actually a success story because I made it through all of that. And on top of that, I am here in the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. I am here. People don't realize to be called, this is not one of those, oh, God called me. No. We're talking about the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, specifically called me. And I had nothing to do with it at all. No planning. I didn't go to any seminary school. I didn't study anywhere. I didn't get no DD or VD or any of those things. I don't have a PhD. I don't have a doctorate of divinity. I don't have any of those things. But the time we got, is that the time for real? Oh my goodness. I gotta continue going because I thought I had more time than this. But I don't. So let me continue. What verse am I at here? 15? But what I hate that I do. Boy, oh boy. If then I do that which I would not, I consent unto the law that is good. Now then, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. See? It is not easy. It is not easy to be a human being, let alone be an Israelite, a practicing Israelite. It is extremely difficult. That's why when my sister Sophie, when earlier on when you were saying, yeah, when Elder Andel comes here, he says that he's with his friends. Trust me, it's true. It's hard to relate to people out there. Very hard. Because people out there really don't know what we go through. Because we're not just fighting against the tide of the world. There's a reason why the scripture that says, he that endureth until the end. You know what that enduring part is? The enduring part is when you have to endure your brethren. Really and truly, when you have to endure your brethren. I pause. And you know why? I say this because my brethren have been chosen by the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. They have been chosen, hand-selected and picked to be his servants. So I can't do anything against you. I'm not supposed to fight against you. I'm supposed to understand what my brethren go through because my brethren go through the same thing I go through. That's why I respect my brethren and I appreciate my brethren, because I know what you're going through. We go through this together. We go through this as individuals. For I know that, Paul again, for I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good, I find not. But he's on another level. He's saying this from a perspective on another level. We have to understand who our brother Paul is. And he says here, for the good that which I would, I do not. But the evil which I would not, that I do. Now, if I do that which I would not, it is no more that I do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. He's trying to look for a scapegoat and a justification for his actions. I find then a law that when I would do good, evil is present with me. This boy, I'm telling you. For I delight in the law of God after the inward man, but I see another law in my members warring against the law of my mind to bring me into captivity to the law of sin which is in my members. O wretched man that I am! Who shall deliver me from the body of this death? I thank God through Jesus Christ our Lord. So then, with the mind, I myself serve the law of God, but with the flesh, the law of sin. Man, I'm telling you, you know why he had it so bad? You want to know why he had it so bad? This guy, Paul. I don't know why he had it so bad. Let's go quickly to Acts chapter 9. I'll tell you why he had it so bad. And his case is not everybody's case. But it's important for us to know. Very important for us to know. Because we all go through it. A lot of times people want to say, oh, well, you know, if I was there with the children of Israel, I would have done such and such, and I would have been this and that. And trust me, don't believe a word of that. Don't believe a word of that. Because a lot of times people try to make it seem as if the children of Israel never did any wrong. Trust me, if we didn't do any wrong, we would not be here today. If we did not do any wrong, we would not be here today. Our forefathers would have kept the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. We wouldn't have gone after other gods and other nations and other cultures just to see what they did and try to be like those people. If we didn't do that, we would not have been enslaved. Our entire enslavement was contingent upon us serving the God of Israel. If we remained diligent in serving our God, keeping those holy laws, we would not be here today. So the guy Kanye West, when he said slavery was a choice, as much as he's making a lot of noise right now, when you think about it, it was a choice. It was a choice. He might not understand what he's saying, but we here understand what it means. It was a choice because we disobeyed. The scripture says, in I believe it was Deuteronomy, behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing if you obey, and a curse if you do not. But this is why Paul is the way he was. Acts chapter 9. It says here from the 10th verse, because I don't have much time, I'm going to try and wrap it up just a little bit here. From the 10th verse, it says here, and there was a certain disciple at Damascus named Ananias. And to him, again, we're saying in the New Testament, for those that are being observant. And to him said the Lord in a vision, Ananias. And he said, behold, I am here, Lord. And the Lord said unto him, Arise and go into the street which is called Straight, and inquire of the house of Judas for one called Saul of Tarsus. For behold, he prayeth, and he hath seen in a vision a man named Ananias coming in and putting his hand on him, that he might receive his sight. Then Ananias answered, Lord, I have heard by many of this man how much evil he has done to thy saints at Jerusalem. So this is Paul, the same guy that wrote the book of Romans, wrote some of the Acts, and that we're reading about, that some have coined the greatest Christian of all. Can you believe that? When Paul himself, he says that I am an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of the Hebrews, and he's giving you the breakdown of who he is. Do you think, just think about it, that an Israelite would say that there is no more law? Just think about that. Because that's what they say. They said that because of Paul, hey, it's no more. Who are you, like, really? How much evil he hath done to thy saints at Jerusalem. And here he hath authority from the chief priest to bind all that call on thy name. But the Lord said unto him, Go thy way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me to bear my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel. For I will show him how great things he must suffer for my name's sake. That's Paul, Saul of Tarsus. He's the only Israelite whose name was changed from an Israelite name to a Gentile name. So when he's saying, oh, wretched man that I am, do you know how many of our people he caused to be put to death? He was not a nice person, but he was one of ours. And that's what we have to understand, that he was one of ours. He was not a Christian. As a matter of fact, Jesus wasn't even a Christian. How come nobody ever says that? Nobody ever asked that question. Like, they tell you should be a Christian, but hey, Jesus wasn't a Christian. How are you going to follow? How are you actually following? How can you say that I'm a follower of Jesus? I'm a follower of Christ. Christ wasn't a Christian. Nobody notices that, do they? That Christ was not a Christian? Say it loud and clear so that everybody can hear. For the people in the back of the internet can hear. Christ was not a Christian. He was a spirit, the only begotten of the Father. And when he came unto his, isn't that something? He came unto his own. And what did his own do? Received him not. Though he had sent down from above, the only begotten. Just to give you just a hint, a slight indication as to what people you come from. They didn't even want God. They didn't even want Christ. So when I say, welcome, and I'm glad you're here, I know that there are so much things out there that could have taken you somewhere else. You could have been somewhere else serving another God. So when you make it to the Israelite nation, I say welcome to the Israelite nation. Welcome. Because I know it's not easy. It is not easy. So when you have been selected for this task, for this this wonderful, wonderful thing. And that's why I smile a lot. That's why I laugh a lot, because I don't want to be out there. I don't. And my sister Sophie has a saying that she's going to keep her seat. She's not giving up her seat for nobody. Nobody. And you shouldn't. Just remember this, man. I mean, what we just read about our brother Paul, you as an individual have to know yourself, right? Know your strengths. Know your weaknesses. Know where you came from. Know that you are in the place that the God of Israel has placed you. You, as an individual, had no choice whatsoever. You didn't decide. I know some people would say, oh, yeah, I was looking for God for so long, and then I found God, and now I'm here. No! You had nothing to do with it. God chose you. The God of Israel chose you. You didn't choose him. Because trust me, if it had been up to you, you would have been like Paul and the rest of us. We thought we had life good. We were living. We were living. So we thought. Now we are living. Now we are living. I believe that is my time. Brethren, I want to thank you. Guests, I want to thank you. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Whatever you do, share this message with everyone that you know. That's my time, everyone. Peace. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one.